In the first years of the formation of our independent country, it was necessary to quickly develop all spheres of life. Special attention had to be paid to one of the most important areas of society: culture.
Сол бір тұрған жерден қозғаған бірден бір бағдарлама бұл мәдени мұра бағдарламасы.
By the initiative of the first president Nursultan Nazarbayev, the state program Cultural Heritage was adopted in 2013. As part of this program, over a long period of time, painstaking and successful work has been carried out to collect and study priceless historical discoveries and findings. As a result of this work, the National Museum of the Republic of Kazakhstan was opened, a place where all the historical finds were collected together.
Соның нәтижесінде осы Қазақстан Республикасының ұлттық музейі ашылды. Келушілер бойынша қазір еліміздің астанасында.
Today, the National Museum is visited not only by residents of the capital, but also by all Kazakhstanis, as well as foreign guests who come to our country.
Басқа туристер болсын, келіп отырады осы музейге.
This giant modern building is among the top 10 museums of the world, and in Central Asia, there are no analogues to our National Museum. Currently, the museum has more than 200,000 exhibits. These relics are exhibited in the halls of Astana Independent Kazakhstan, Gold, History of Antiquity, and the Middle Ages, History, Ethnography, Modern Art. High priority is given to the museum's scientific and educational work, which gave a new impetus to the cultural life of the country.
Музейдің ішінде өзінің консервация және реставрация орталығы бар. Енді қазіргі таңда жәдігерлерді тек сол көрмеге қоюмен қатар бізде.
The museum has a conservation and restoration center where we can simultaneously demonstrate not only the exhibits but also the techniques used by our specialists, restorers.
Оның ішінде Досаева Дана деген маманымыз бар.
Among the restorers are Dana Dosayeva and our master Bekbolat Nurdanbek.
Ағаш, темір, былғары, әртүрлі бағыттағы сол реставрациялық және консервациялық жұмыстармен атқарады.
Bekbolat Nurdanbek is one of the experts responsible for priceless cultural masterpieces in the museum. He's engaged in the restoration of artifacts that keep centuries-old secrets. Every nation has its culture. The artifacts that we are restoring in our museum are more than 100 years old. You can discover a lot about the culture of our ancestors by studying and restoring them. Ancient jewelry made of gold shows us the level of their cultural development, for example. Specialists of the Department of the Ancient Remodeling and Reconstruction, who restore the finds of local archaeologists donated to the museum, first discuss their joint plans. Because this work is painstaking, it requires knowledge of restoration in wood, metal, and leather. Each master chooses what suits to him.
Біздің жаңа ағаш, темір, тері және сүйек осы реставрация неде қорда.
Our exhibits are made of wood, metal, and leather, and we have around 150 to 200 items each year. In addition, we work with exhibits that are needed for various exhibitions, meaning in total, we work with about 500 exhibits.
Аяқ астынан келеді экспонаттар. Көрмеге шығу керек болады. Содан қосқанда 300-ге, 500-ге жуық экспонаттар.
Before we restore each exhibit, we'll learn the history of its origin, says Bekbolat Nurdanbek. The master has been working in this museum for several years.
Оның жасалу жолдарын зерттейміз.
We study the ways of making its parts, the composition of the materials from which it was made, what jewelry and artistic techniques were used.
Қандай зергерлік өнер болса, mesela зергерлік бұйым болса, қандай өнермен жасалған, қандай жаңағы техникамен жасалған, соның бәрін бірінші біліп аламыз.
Bekbolat Nurdanbek deals not only with the treatment of ancient things, he is also interested in Kazakh jewelry, which predates history. He can make women's jewelry such as necklaces, earrings, beads, bracelets, and rings.
Кейінгі дәуірде де болған мысалы күміс қақтау деген. Темірдің бетіне mesela ат әбзелдеріне, әртүрлі әшекейлерге күмісті жұқалап қақтап, соны жабыстырған. Сол технологиямен жасалған.
The silver processing technology that appeared in later times made it possible to decorate the metal surface with a variety of ornaments. This is also a true art of the Kazakhs, and every Kazakh should know it. For example, silvering, wire tension, gold threads with old lace covers, and silver threads are all identical to the ancient technologies and techniques used by our ancestors of the Saka era. Being a jeweler is a sacrosanct and sacred art. First of all, you need natural talent. Second, it is a respected profession that is mysteriously passed from father to son, or from teacher to student, enriching traditional views, historical identities, and customs of people.
Bunda eksponаттардың жоқ шынжырларын топтап отырмын.
I don't work with exhibits here. I make silver chains, restore missing parts. Now we will pull the silver into the wire and then restore it to a round shape. Then when this side is dry, the silver will stick together and we can do the same with the other side. After that, we will prepare the welding fluid and drop the product into it. When everything is soldered, dried and heated, the object becomes a round shape, and now you can connect the other parts of this chain.
Bir-birine birikкен жері бірігеді, кепсерленеді. И ары қарай иіп, мынандай шынжыр жасауға.
Bekbolat Nurdanbek says that the love for jewelry is in his blood. He grew up among connoisseurs of Kazakh national art. There are centuries-old Kazakh traditions and way of life related to animal husbandry, nomadic pastoralism of Kazakh nomads. This type of livelihood requires certain tools. All this is done by the Kazakhs themselves. Each has its own way, technique, and tradition, and each Kazakh is a master. The jeweler tells about his place of birth. He was born in the People's Republic of China, a region with a predominantly Kazakh population.
Мен 1979 жылы Қытай Халық Республикасына қарасты Қазақ автономиялы облысы Мыңғылкөл ауданының Ақсу ауылы.
I was born in 1979 in Aksu, the Kazakh Autonomous Region in China. I grew up and graduated from Kazakh school there. We moved to Almaty in 2002, and in the following year I entered the College of Decorative Applied Arts named after Tansikbayev. There I graduated from the Faculty of Art Processing of Materials.
Сәндік қолданбалы өнер колледжінің металды көркемдеп өңдеу деген факультеті болды. Сол факультетқа түстім, 4 жыл соны бітірдім.
All that he can do, Bekbolat is obliged to the teachers of the college. There he developed an interest in the art of jewelry, after learning the basics of which he decided that he would never part with what he loved.
Кемер белбеу деп аталады барлығы. Күмістен, темірдің бетіне күміс қақтап.
We have belts here, different belts. They're made of silver and iron by the method of silvering. For example, this belt was found in Jetsu in the 19th century. It came to us in a very bad condition. All of the details were almost destroyed and had rotten skin. We carried out a complete restoration, restored and replaced the parts, and thus brought this belt to such a condition as it is now.
Қалпына келтіріп, реттестіріп, осындай дәрежеге жеткіздік. Белбеудің мәселен қалпына келтіру уақыты мәселен әртүрлі. Кейбіреулерінің мәселен кожалары.
Restoration of each of these belts takes different time. Somewhere you just need to replace the leather and somewhere to work with metal and ornament. Therefore, the restoration of one belt may take a year, another a month, and the third just a week.
Кейбіреусіне бір апта сондай кетеді.
He received his higher education at the art school in Jetesu, where he became a specialist in the field of painting and drawing. Bekbolat Nurdanbek says that the development of his qualities became possible only here in his historical homeland, where the state gave him the opportunity to learn and develop. Because when you live in a foreign country, you must obey the people of that country. I arrived to Almaty and immediately received citizenship. There were no thoughts of returning to China because I felt that I was needed, important, home, native. Here I can adhere to national customs and traditions, live as our ancestors lived, love this land, and benefit my native country and people. Therefore, we never thought to return to China. We immediately applied for citizenship and received it in 2003. Becoming a free son of an independent country has always been the dream of Bekbolat Nurdanbek, and here on his native land he built up a family, has his own home, and with his beloved wife, he's raising 3 children. Now his mother lives with them in complete peace and harmony. Now our children are doing well, and Bekbolat is respected at work. He's a very good specialist. That's why he was invited from Almaty here to the capital. After all, Kazakhs have always been famous for their master jewelers. Among my relatives were jewelers who made various rings, earrings, and other silver jewelry. But it was all so mundane, everyday, not something to exhibit in museums, and Bekbolat is engaged in historical heritage. Serious finds, restores it all. I tell my son, you must be a very good craftsman to be invited to work here. Previously, Bekbolat worked in the Almaty Museum of Crafts, but his hard work and skills were noticed and he was invited to work to the capital. He's used to getting up very early in the morning, always in a hurry to work. Another good thing about him is that he never stops at what he has achieved, constantly striving for perfection. If he takes up a restoration, started making a thing, then he devotes to the craft all his time until he brings it to the end, till he finishes it. He does not come down until he makes the intended product. I think that because of these qualities, he's very valued and respected at work. That is why he was invited to the capital, and our family now lives in Nur Sultan. Since his arrival to the capital, Bekbolat Nurdanbek participates in various exhibitions dedicated to the promotion of jewelry art. He also gives masterclasses. Now he often participates in international exhibitions abroad as a jewelry master from Nur Sultan. Thus, he also contributes to the fact that our national museum has received worldwide recognition.
қай музейлердің бәсекеге қабілеттілігіміз төтеп бере аламыз.
What museums can we afford to compete with? Our museum is only 5 years old. If you take, for example, world-famous museums such as the Louvre in France or the Hermitage in Russia, these museums are 200 to 300 years old. So I think it's too early to compare, but as you may have noticed, our National Museum has become one of the few major cultural institutions in Central Asia.
Бірегей мекемелердің бірі, бірегей мәдениет ұйымдарына айналып үлгерді.
The number of visitors to the National Museum increases every year. Since its opening, it has been visited by about 1 million people. That is 200,000 visitors a year who are immersed in the history of the Kazakh people. Bekbolat Nurdanbek has done a lot of work to promote this museum and popularize the Kazakh cultural heritage.
Ең күрделісі мынау болды. Бұлардың өйткені салпыншақтардың анау астыңғы біреуі ғана болды да, бір тал ғана.
Here the most difficult thing was to remake these hanging bells. Only one thing has survived. I had to make everything else by myself. The connection of the decoration and the bell had to be done by myself also. We have cleared everything, made new slats, and now the exhibit is already on exposition. Today these exhibits are the property and treasure of the nation.
Халықтың көз айдын айланған көмір ұлттың бір қазынасы болып тұр.
Bekbolat Nurdanbek considers as his duty not only to restore the artifact but also to explain the purpose of historical exhibits, the purpose of their use by our ancestors. Because these are not just objects, they are cultural heritage that tells about the life and genesis of the Kazakh people.
Here
are the national wedding rings. One of our most forgotten old-fashioned wedding rings is the so-called ring, which stands at number 39. The wedding ring has its own meaning, the technology of creation mainly made by the method of buds. When the daughter-in-law was preparing to become a mother, the groom's mother was next to her daughter-in-law. And with her own hand, she put a ring on her daughter-in-law's hand, meaning that she could give birth to many healthy grandchildren. Applied craft, including jewelry, is an integral part of Kazakh customs and traditions. If we study the history of the country and focus on the revival of its culture, then the role and importance of our national art will increase, says the master jeweler.
Bizde көп атаулар. Қышқаш, қысқыш, сымсуыр, сымтартқыш деген атаулар.
We, the jewelers, have many special terms and names. We call tools our work tools and the names of technologies and techniques for processing metal or other materials. Many of these terms have already been forgotten by most Kazakhs, but I have a dream to work to restore these forgotten things.
Соған күш жұмсасақ, соған еңбек етсем деген арманым бар.
The master seeks not only to revive antique items but also to revive their names, as well as the old names of tools used to create ordinary jewelry. After all, the history of this Kazakh national art can be traced to the ancient world. That is why he's going to publish a book based on the results of 20 years of work in this field. This is a good opportunity to pass on the history and secrets of original art to future generations.